there were some differences between the contractor and us when the windows were coming, right, or the patio doors. And maybe because I was a little too confident about the contractor, and I said, yeah, she'll do everything right because everything is mentioned on the plans.
Yeah.
But when the windows came, the color were different because we had beige windows and the new windows were white. I was like, "Ugh."
Um,
Welcome to Real Stories in Real Estate with your host, Denise Laframboise. Real people sharing real stories about their adventures in real estate.
Hey there. So welcome to Real Stories in Real Estate. I'm your host, Denise Laframboise, and today I have Arsalan with me. Welcome.
Hi, Denise. Thank you very much for having me here.
Oh,
Excited.
thanks for doing this. So you just did a crazy major renovation on your home, and I wanted you to share a little bit about your experience going through that, what you did and kind of how it went.
Yeah, of course. I'm happy to share the experience. So, um, a little correction. So, first of all, it was not just renovation. We actually did an addition to our house. And the reason for doing that addition was we needed more space because I have my mom and dad living with us, and we were having a challenge to have, proper bedroom in a two-story house on a main floor, right? So we wanted main floor washroom and bedroom, and also we wanted it to have wheelchair accessibility. So we wanted bigger doors. Washroom has to be, it has to be in such a way that wheelchair can go in, etc. So, so, so we actually started a couple of years ago. We started to look for a house like that we can find and we can all fit in. So we are total 6 people now in a house. And unfortunately, whichever house that we liked 2 years ago, it was like almost $2.5 million, right? So
Yeah.
imagine now the price is probably like $3.5 million, right? And then even though if we would have bought that house, we would have still done some renovations or a few things to make it according to our needs. And we just thought we pay like $2.5 million for a house like that, and then again we're spending $50,000.
Yeah.
Like, is it really worth it, right? And after like all the hassle, so we decided that, you know what, we have some space in our backyard, and why don't we do an addition like 550 square feet or something like that? It was just a rough figure that we thought that we can
I
do.
like how casual you make this sound. Let's just put an addition on our house. This is so easy.
Well, we had to come up with a solution and solution like quick because I don't want to send my parents to long-term care, and COVID had
Yeah.
started too, right? And we were really scared, like what's going to happen? So, anyways, long story short, I looked into the process. Um, so the step one was to find an architect, right? Actually, no. Step one was to know if we can do an addition or not, right? So basically, and then again, there are bylaws. So we found out that we can only occupy in Markham 30% of our lots area, right? So I had to do some calculations that how much do we have, the lot square footage, and then how much we have current house. And again, for that purpose, I had to engage an architect, and he was really good. He came in, and basically the process took about a week for him to do all the measurements. And then he said, yes, actually, you can add up to 550 square feet. And so we actually did 530 square feet, so not 550. So step one was that. Step two, he actually sat down with us, gave us the floor plans. It took us about a month or two to go back and forth, kept revising the blueprints that no, we want this, we want this. And finally, we decided, okay, this is it. The whole process in the beginning took about 3 months. Then we had to apply for a permit to the city, which again took about 3 to 4 months. City had asked for some information. We went through that, and then city said, "Oh, actually, this is again a very interesting thing. Like we found out that just to do an addition, not just permits, you have to have an arborist report, right? Well,
Right.
basically, a guy comes in, he walks around your property, he looks how many trees you have on the property, which tree will be or can be basically injured, how close are your neighbors, and basically, if he goes go ahead and gives us the report, we can submit it to the city, and if the city is okay, then that's basically green signal for us.
Yeah, there's
So
all kinds of funny things in those bylaws, right? Different municipalities have different extra stuff, right?
exactly. And Markham, just so you know, Markham is very strict about trees. When it comes to trees, oh my God, like they want you to. So we're doing the addition in our backyard, and we are on a corner lot, so we had accessibility from the side yard. We just took out the fence from the side, and the machinery can come in. But they wanted us to basically protect the trees in the front yard too. So we had to put all that green, the orange fence around the trees, even in the front yard too. So,
Just in
so
case
yeah,
the machine went around your house and hit the tree.
I don't know, but when I look back, so actually this is what happens when the stuff, the construction material, the brick, mortar, wood, whatever starts to come in. If they don't have space in your backyard, they're going to start piling up things on your driveway, right?
Mm.
And then they have to go around. And if it's heavy, a forklift will come in. So that's why, hence, the trees. So, anyways, so basically, we started the process. It took us about good 6 months between the architect and the city and the permits, and then another 6 months to find basically a contractor. And this is what I want really to pay attention to. Like, how do you choose a contractor, right? So I interviewed about 12 contractors, right? And how did I pick up a contractor? I'll tell you that. So we were getting quotes from 150,000 to like $420,000. I was
The big
like
range.
this doesn't make sense. Like this is so much variance, right? Like how do you understand like who is right? And this is again in COVID times, right? When the there was a shortage of construction material.
Mhm.
So, anyways, um, and then we did shortlist a couple of people, and then we did some Google reviews on those people and on those companies. So again, something that we learned during the process, right? Like cheapest is not the best.
Yeah.
The person who had offered $150,000 for basically construction with material and labor, his reviews were not so good. And actually, he was on City TV, and people had complained about him that he had disappeared
Mhm.
mid construction, and then the new contractor would not take the job because he doesn't know what the previous contractor has done.
Yeah.
So you see the problem, right? So
Yeah, and really looking at those contracts, like I remember, like I mean, we did one with our office, a major renovation, and same with like putting in our pool. All of the contracts had different stuff in them. And some of them would include everything, and some of them would say, this is what we're going to do, and we'll add on whatever extras we come across as we come across them. Right? Like having a really clean contract and exactly what it includes is really difficult sometimes, especially when like the construction material pricing was changing constantly.
right. So I met this contractor, and it's a funny thing. She's a lady, right? Like a lady contractor, which I was little surprised, but pleasantly surprised because she was very easy to approach, to talk to, and And what I learned in the process, you hire a contractor who respects you, who respects your demands as well, and is approachable and available and understands the problem. And because a lot of contractors are very cocky and fortunate. Hey, you don't know nothing. We know, we have been doing
Mhm.
this, blah, blah, blah. I know, man, like you've been doing this for 20 years or 30 years, but I want somebody to hear me out.
Yeah.
So so we hired her, and she did an amazing job for us, right? And the price was not too cheap, not too expensive, somewhere in the middle. And when we started the process, so by the time we started the process from the beginning, it took us about a 1 year time to obtain the permits and to get the process going. When the process started, it took us 4 months, and she gave us that timeline, and she was really on the dot. Like she
Nice.
finished the job in 4 months. So
So that's
yeah,
the good part, right? Finished on time for what you expected. It turned out how you wanted.
exactly. And we love it. My mom and dad, they love it. We all enjoy it. And funny thing was that I was traveling in between for about 3 weeks out of Canada. When she was always like on a WhatsApp call with me, and she would always show me videos and photos that this is what we are doing. And when I came back after 3 weeks, I realized that the doors that they had put in, they were 32 inches wide doors, right? And I needed minimum 34 inches wide door
Yeah.
because my mom's wheelchair has to go through. So she made all those changes for me without an extra charge. Similarly, a few other things. So this is what I'm talking when you're hiring a contractor, right? I would always recommend a contractor who is polite, who is approachable, who respects you and gives you a solution rather than, and I don't mind
Mhm.
paying extra to that person because they're so accommodating to you.
Yeah. And I mean, on our end, we see a lot of the horror stories where people hire somebody who disappears halfway through the job, or they quote one thing and then the price is double because they didn't include all this stuff, or they make a mistake and then they're asking the client to, subsidize that mistake. So, I mean, I really do think it's so important to ask all those questions ahead.
Yes, of course. Sit down, work out all the details before you do it. If you can choose the materials before, that is also very important that I learned. And if you have any question, if you have any doubts, please speak up. Like don't be afraid to tell the contractor what's the worst that can happen, right? Make some changes, maybe some time delays, but at least you don't want a product that you're not happy with. Yeah, you want to be happy with it. So yeah. And of
Was
course you had helped me. You had helped me in getting, financing for that. So
Right?
that part
Yeah,
is
have your
also
money
very
ahead.
critical.
That's a key as well, right? Just like
That
the contractors not wanting to come in mid renovation, lenders don't want to do that either. If we appraise your house and there's a big hole in the wall, that's way harder than if it looks the way it looks and is intact for financing, right? Um, was there any a point during this that you were like, oh my gosh, we should have never tried this? Like this was a bad idea?
uh no, maybe during the construction when there was too much dust because they were cutting some bricks. There was a lot of dust. They covered the inside. So yes, for a week or 10 days, there was a time when everybody in the house was like, oh, when is this going to be over? Like there's so much dust always. We're cleaning every day. And trust me, it wasn't easy for those 10 days when I would walk in and I would see dust on the walls, inside walls, right? Because of the saw that they were using. So, but again, it's a lot easier to do that rather than buying something which is really expensive and then spending more money on it. and then you're paying heavy mortgage, right? So it's better than get some financing. So, and you were great, like you helped us to get that financing. So amazing. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. This is why I have you on the podcast, so you can say nice things about me.
Of course.
So, and then in hindsight, like you would do the same thing again. Is there anything you might have done differently or that you learned from that somebody else could learn from?
Yeah, definitely. If I have to do it again, yes, without a blink, I would say yes if I have to, because now I have the experience. And will I do it differently? Maybe. Because there are still things that I think that we could have improved a little bit. Maybe a little bit more wider doors, although they are perfect right now, but maybe, if we needed a little bit more room. So yeah, I could do it again. And maybe also, yeah, there was one more thing. So there were some differences between the contractor and us when the windows were coming, right? Or the patio doors. And maybe because I was a little too confident about the contractor, and I said, yeah, she'll do everything right because everything is mentioned on the plans.
Yeah.
But when the windows came, the color were different because we had beige windows and the new windows were white. I was like, "Ugh." So she fixed it, of course. And that was great, right? So, but again, all in all, the experience was great. And if I have to do it again, yeah, I can do it again. And this time I would be probably a little bit more prudent. And having said that, it doesn't mean my current experience is bad. It was great.
Yeah. And I foresee that a lot more people will be looking at these types of renovations. It is actually very hard to find an accessible home. And so there is a premium on them. And more people as we age as a population, like more people want to be able to live at home and can if
Absolutely.
you do a renovation that suits accessibility.
Absolutely. And you're right. I mean, we have very little inventory of those kind of homes. Me being a realtor, I see that every day these problems do arise. And it's a big problem for families. A lot of families don't want to send their parents or their, relatives to old homes.
Yeah. Especially after COVID, I find, right?
Yeah, especially after COVID.
Okay. And you mentioned real estate. So you're also a realtor. So do you want to tell people where you work and what kind of typical clients you like to work with?
Absolutely. And thank you so much for asking me that. So I've been doing real estate since about 20 years. Where I am working with Remax Prime Properties here in Markham, but my working area is GTA all across, right? Be it downtown, be it East End, West End, wherever my business and my clients take me. And I love to work with clients who love to work with me. I go with my gut feel, right? People, they like me, I love them. And whatever it is, if it's new construction, new builds, I can help them with that. Resale homes, absolutely not a problem. One of the things that I also do for my clients when it comes to selling their homes is I stage their home as well. Most of the times, if it's just the fluffing, the creating part, I have a lot of stuff in-house that I help them so they don't have to pay with it for that. But if it does come to hiring a professional stager or renting out furniture, then I have plans to help them out with that too.
I love it. It's so important, right? Like for people to be able to look at a home and be able to see themselves in it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And what we see and what a stager sees are so different.
Oh, yeah. That is so true. Like we live one way, but when it comes to selling a house, the house has to look pristine and it has to look in a way when people walk in. We call it the 5-second rule. Usually it's within first 5 seconds, Denise, the people decide that this is their house. Okay. And we are always looking for or trying to hear that sound. This is the house I was looking for. And usually that happens within first 5-6 seconds.
5 seconds, eh?
That's really important.
So that
If
room that you first walk into better look fantastic.
fantastic and smell. It should smell great too, right? You don't
Mm.
want to smell like enter into a house that smells crazy. So yeah, basically those are a few things.
Well, that is super helpful. I have seen you take very, very good care of your clients. I have seen you do all kinds of things for people. You go above and beyond for them. And we see it on our end.
Thank you very much.
I think you're great at what you do. If people have questions about real estate, or even if they want to talk to you about maybe an accessible renovation or just what you went through during the process, how can they find you?
So yeah, they can easily find me. My name is Arsalan Siddiqui, and they can Google me up, type my name, and you can uh, basically Google me up, find my website, reach out to me. And my number to reach me, again, I'll repeat it slowly so that if people who are listening this, they want to write it down. It's 416-844-6069. I'll repeat that. It's 416-844-6069. Or they can Google me up. My name is Arsalan, Arsalan. Last name Siddiqui, Siddiqui. They can look me up and reach out to me, and I'll be happy to help them.
So much. I really appreciate you sharing this with me and taking your time today. I think you'll help a lot of people if they're thinking about just taking on a big project like this.
It's a pleasure, Denise. Thank you for having me on your podcast.
Awesome. So this is Real Stories in Real Estate, where we share real stories from real people about what they actually did, the good, the bad, and if they would do it again. You can find this anywhere that you consume your podcasts, like Apple. You can find it on iHeartRadio or Spotify. Thanks so much.